What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 experience with myself, Thomas Maba. So, man, today I want us to talk about the future of this country and what is it that needs to be done so that this country does not go to the dogs. I have few questions for you guys. What is the future of South Africa? Where is this beautiful country going? Are we honestly going to sit here and trust politicians with our future? Are we going to trust politicians with the future of this country? And are we going to trust politicians with the future of our children? If no, what is it exactly that we can do as general public to make sure that this country does not go to the dogs? I mean, guys, we have the most beautiful country in the world right now. We have the most beautiful country in the world right now. The most diverse country in the world right now. But politicians are using that on their advantage. Knowing exactly that South Africa is the most diverse country in the world, these guys are playing racial politics, are dividing South Africans, making sure that South Africans are divided as hell. Like I've said a couple of times that South Africans, we don't know each other. We know each other through the lens of the media and through the lens and through the political rhetoric. We don't know each other as people in this country. And I think that is one of the reasons why the country is in such a big mess. Because we cannot discuss the problems of South Africa before someone comes and start gaslighting us with racism. We cannot sit here and honestly discuss the problems of this country before some political party or some politicians talk about racism and shift the whole conversation from what South Africa is facing and what is South Africa going to do to racism. Is the same tactics that is applied by the African National Congress, telling you that everything that is happening right now in South Africa is the fault of apartheid. So what do you expect the general public to do with that? What does the ANC expect the general public to do with that statement? That the problems that we are facing right now in South Africa is the fault of apartheid? Do these people expect us to go to the graveyards of Vervoet or Jan van Riebeeck so that they can tell us what is it exactly that they have done? This is the same thing that has been done by the EFF. And right now we see Patriotic Alliance is trying to divide the black people and the colors. They've said that right now in South Africa, the government is working for the black people more than it's working for the colors. But in all honest truth, guys, the ANC government is not working for anyone. So what are we going to do, man? What are we going to do? I have so many thoughts, guys. I know that I'm rambling around. Please, you have to bear with me. I have so many thoughts because these things are troubling me. Looking at how messed up things are right now. You look at the issue of unemployment rate. I think we have the highest unemployment rate in the world. We have a lot of young people who are qualified, who went to university, who went to the colleges. But right now they are sitting at home doing nothing. Most of these young people are killing themselves because of depression. Most of them have turned into drunkards because of depression. Most of them right now are drug addicts because of depression. Because there's nothing for them. There's nothing for young people in this country. What are we going to do as general public to make sure that this beautiful country of ours does not go to the dogs? Guys, what is the future of this country, man? What is the future of South Africa? Like I said, man, do you sometimes sit back and be like, what is it going to happen with South Africa in 10 years' time? The fact that right now we already have like 60% or over 60% of young people that are not working today. And by the way things are going, jobs are not coming anytime soon. Jobs are not coming anytime soon. This is why you see the ruling party blaming everyone but themselves for the mess that we are in today. It's because they know that the jobs are not coming. South Africans said that Ramaphosa was going to come with his business buddies. They're going to open up factories and South Africans are going to work. Manufacturing is coming back. Nothing. Ramaphosa was at some point Ramaphosa was talking about smart city. How can we even talk about smart city when we don't even have electricity? You listen to these guys of telecommunications talking about fourth industrial revolution. How can you talk about fourth industrial revolution in South Africa? This is why I said, guys, are we honestly going to sit back and allow politicians, man, to take over? Are we going to allow these guys to bleed this country dry while we are sitting back and hoping that things are going to be good? What is the future of South Africa, man?
So we have crossed that line. We know the ANC has collapsed things in South Africa. And I'm not sure if you are part of that agreement, but the two of us seem to agree that the ANC must actually, the sooner the ANC get out of state control, the better. If the ANC...
Yesterday is too late.
Yeah. If the ANC continues to run the South African state...
And you know what Prince Mashele is talking about, man? People are saying that you need to get rid of the ANC, but who are we going to elect? Who are we going to elect? I'm not saying that no one can replace the African National Congress. Of course, I don't want the African National Congress to run this country. But I'm also not naive, man. You look at our political parties. The political parties that we have today, do you want the EFF to run this country? Do you want Julius Malema to be the president of this country? Do you want John Steenhuisen to be the president of South Africa? Do you honestly, when you sit back at home alone, do you honestly believe that John Steenhuisen is the perfect candidate to be the president of this country? You look at Mmusi Maimane, man. Mmusi Maimane is one of the most brilliant guys. But I think he's far from being the president of South Africa with his Build One South Africa movement. So if we remove the African National Congress, who are we going to replace it with? If we remove Ramaphosa as the president of this country, who are we going to replace Ramaphosa with?
We are being dug deeper and deeper.
Who must run the state, guys?
Now, then we get to the second point. The second point is, whether we like it or not, there will be a new bunch that is going to run South Africa. It's a fact. There will be a new bunch that will run South Africa, whether we like it or not. Before we get to that, no.
For me, the issue is who's that bunch.
Yeah,
exactly.
no.
Because if it's a lot of candidates,
but could I please make a point and finish and then you...
You are inspiring us.
Yeah. Before we get to that question as to who is that bunch, there is a what question which is extremely important. What is it that needs to be done to arrest the decline and to begin the process of rebuilding? We have to deal with that question before we say who, because if we rush to deal with the who and forget this important question of what needs to be done, that bunch is going to take us back to where the ANC took us.
Yes.
So that's why you and I were having a little debate, and I thought our debate was unhelpful in the sense that we were not differing. We have to agree on the bottom line. Bottom line, we need to mention a few items. One, education. This is so critical to all of us, particularly to black people. You know, white people in South Africa were once poor and, by the way, uneducated. Part of what explains why they were able to dig themselves out of poverty is because all of them, if you look at them, whether the Jews, the English, the Afrikaners, they address the question of education for themselves. We have to address the question of education for all, particularly for black people. Because you can say, let us share in the wealth of the country. If you are going to have a mass of black people who are uneducated, how are they going to share in the wealth of the yeah. So let me interject before you go. So in conclusion,
no. Before you get there,
before I conclude,
before you conclude, how do you justify saying that we must deal with the issue of education amongst black people when a lot of black people are unemployed graduates now?
It's not true, by the way.
No.
Statistics don't agree with you, by the way. I've had this.
No, it's true.
What?
No, Pete, it is not true. It is not true. I know that in South Africa right now, we have a huge unemployment rate, but a lot of South Africans are not educated. Let's be honest about that. As much as we talk about these guys who come from universities and colleges, But we have to be honest that majority of South Africans today that are not employed and are not educated. There is no statistics that shows that majority of people in this country that are unemployed are educated. Yeah, it's a huge number, but it is not the majority, man. It is not.
There's a huge number of unemployed black graduates.
Before I come to the statistics, no?
You can't support that argument.
And that's why the point that Prince is making cannot be discussed outside the issue of the economy.
But
it's critical. If you do not change the economic dynamics,
you see, I've inspired chaos.
The education is not going to serve
Take it easy.
Guys, you see.
Statistics about unemployed, youth unemployment are there, 62%.
Yeah.
The majority of them are black, and the majority of them are unemployed black graduates.
It's a lie, guys. It's a lie. It's a lie. Majority of the people that are sitting at home are graduates. It's a lie. I stand to be corrected, but it's a lie. I don't believe so, man. I don't. And and thinking about this education thing and who is educated and uneducated, man, we are living with the 30%. 30%. That's what's needed, man, for you to pass right now. So even if you finished high school, you are as good as uneducated because you have passed with 30%. You can't tell me that someone who has passed in high school with 30%, that person is educated. He's not. And I think it's only in South Africa where you are only allowed to get 3 things right out of 10. Then they say you have passed. It's a shame. So even if a lot of people finish high school, but most of them, they are uneducated. Because statistics are there. Majority of young people in this country, they cannot read or write. That is the statistics that is out there. Majority of South Africans, of young people in this country, they cannot read or write. It doesn't matter whether these guys, they finish their matrix. It doesn't matter. These guys are a 30% gang. If you have passed in high school with 30%, you are as good as uneducated. That's what I can say.
It's not true, actually.
So August 5, this whole idea that black people are not educated, I think it's not necessarily true, because in the past, when we started at Varsity, we were told that you need education for you to get employment. Back in the days, they were saying, you guys are not educated, that's why you can't employ you. Now you are employed, you are educated, and then you are given another excuse, either experience, but if you go to many companies.
That's the point of interjecting before I finish, because all of the things you are saying, I was going to address. I was listing things. I started with education, right? I was coming to...
are not educated, and we need to address education amongst themselves.
Education for black people, my friend, it's a problem. It's a real problem. It's not a... Go and check statistics.
Do we have unemployed black graduates?
We do, but if you look at, by the way, if you want us to zoom into that, I can help you. Number one, you don't know the statistics. Number two, if you look at wait. If you look at unemployment in South Africa, the most affected in terms of unemployment are uneducated people in South Africa. It's a fact.
Yes.
Number one. Yeah.
And most of these young guys in South Africa, man, they have studied courses that makes them unemployable. They go to universities, they go to the colleges, but they study the courses that are making them unemployable. It's sad, man. It's sad. We are living in an advanced world where other countries are making huge technological advances. Then we have South Africa, man, where they say 30% is enough for you. How are South Africans? How are young South Africans going to compete with the Chinese, with the Americans, how are we even supposed to compete with the rest of the world when we have these 30% hanging over us? We can't. So this is the reason why these people, that they go to school, they finish high school, they go to university, but they don't have enough points to study those courses that are really relevant. So they study whatever. And after they're done, they sit at home because they are unemployable. Most of them, they are unemployable.
The educated in the most are the least affected. I mean, it's just a fact. Go after this, by the way, just take your phone and Google the statistics and call me. It's just true.
No, yeah. That's not my experience.
Now, two. It's not about your experience.
It's not about your experience.
I'm saying
Piet, it is not about your experience. The last time you tried to tell us about the experience, you failed to show us that lady that you said gave birth to 9 women, to 9 children. So we cannot trust anything that has to do with your experience, Piet Rampedi. We cannot. We can't, man. We can't. You can't trust Piet Rampedi, man. You cannot trust Piet Rampedi.
The most unemployed people in South Africa are black and uneducated.
Yes.
The category of educated blacks, by the way, are the least unaffected within the black community. The most educated in South Africa, by the way, are the Indians, followed by the whites. Just go to Statistics South Africa. These statistics are there. But that's not. We shouldn't be arrested. The point I was making is that in order for us to address the who, we must first deal with the what. The what? 1, education. 2, law and order. 3, health. 4, employment, which is linked to the economy. This, if you look at, and that also includes power. If you look at these 5 things, we can get into detail. We can't finish in an hour. If we address this 4th, all of us as black people, white people, Indian, we want these things. That could be the basis of a deal. Once we agree on that stuff, then we can say who then governs. That is a democratic process. We must open up. People will form political parties, but they must never compromise the bottom line. That's all I wanted to say.
But you see, this is the point where...
Does it exist currently, the bottom line?
No, but I said to me...
I said it doesn't,
well,
it doesn't exist. We need to do it.
Because I needed to make this point. All these issues that Prince are raising are correct. But you can't talk to them in isolation. They need to be on an economic base. So the essence of the challenge that we have is how do we restructure the economy in order to be able to increase better education, jobs, healthcare, all of those things.
How do we structure the economy, man? Who is going to restructure the economy? I hear Niehaus is talking about restructuring the economy. Who is going to restructure this economy that Niehaus is talking about? The politicians. The politicians, is he the person to restructure this economy that he's talking about? Can you trust Niehaus to restructure our economy right now in South Africa? We know that our economy right now is in trouble, man. But are we going to trust the politicians with like, guys, economics is such a complex thing. And I think this is one of the problems that we have as South Africans, man. We have trusted the politicians with such complex issues, such as economy. These guys, it's clear, they understand nothing about the economics. They understand nothing about the economy. So Carl is talking about restructuring the economy. So who is going to restructure that economy? Is he going to restructure the economy? Who?
And you cannot say, well, it's education, without saying, how does it relate to the current economic exploitative structures that we have in South Africa? You cannot tell me that there's unemployment, and then you say, but I'm not talking here about why there's this structured unemployment and there's huge amounts of youth unemployment. So at the end of the day, Prince, and I think Maasha is going to agree with me.
But I feel like Carl is not being honest, or is not being genuine with us, man. Like, because if you're gonna say something as big as saying that we need to restructure the economy, you need to tell us who is going to restructure this economy. Are you the man to restructure this economy that you are talking about? And how is this economy going to be restructured? The details. We are back on the details. Because this is what politicians like. They like to come and talk this rhetoric, but they don't want to go into the details. Because I think the restructuring of an economy is such a huge thing. It's a serious thing. So if you are going to raise up the issue of restructuring the economy, you need to tell us who is going to restructure that economy and how is the economy going to be restructured. Tell us in details so that we understand. You can't simply say that restructure the economy then move to another point. How are you going to restructure this economy?
It has
possibly
to be,
me.
No, it's fine. Perhaps you agree with me too. I know I'm a very convincing person, so
don't rule me out. I have a capacity to agree.
If we do not agree on the fundamentals of how we share the wealth in this country and restructure the economy, all of these great issues that you raised will continue to hang in the air without a foundation. Okay. And that is where we need to start when we say, how do we agree as a people? What needs to be done in order to save this country? That is where your question about what comes in.
Surprisingly, I agree with you. But
okay, wonderful.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But that is a discussion we must have as a country. It may mean before 1994 there was a CODESA, right? Right. It would appear to me that CODESA didn't address that fundamental question.
It didn't.
Right. It may mean that we need to have a CODESA now, given where we are, and this CODESA must, among others, address that fundamental question. But addressing that fundamental question does not mean you must exclude the items I've placed on the table. Because those items are placed on the table, even if we were to agree on the structural question, economic question, if you can't address those issues, you are not going to make progress.
Okay. But you build those issues on the economic foundation.
Okay. Carl,
that's what you have to.
Carl, I think I understand where it's coming from. I also understand your point. The thing here, Prince, I think, which is what I tried to raise earlier, is that if you address, for example, the 5 items that you mentioned, which are critical, but you don't discuss or agree on the framework within which they must be dealt with.
Exactly.
Let's say, for example, the framework is that there must be economic inclusion of black people. Currently, how do you explain the situation where black people, economically, the majority of them are excluded from the mainstream economy? They're relegated to the informal or so-called, third economy, peripherally in the townships, And secondly, how do you address those 5 key elements, which I agree must be addressed? If, for example, there's no agreement around the issue of land. Land plays an important role, whether for farming or whether
for office,
anything, If there's no agreement that, look, we are going to share, nobody's going to be chucked out of their land, or the land being denied. Certain races being denied, or white people being denied access to the land. No, but there must be an understanding that land cannot be monopolized by white people at the expense of black people. The economy, the mainstream economy, cannot be monopolized by white people at the expense of black people. We are going to address the education and other things while understanding that at structural level, there's going to be shared wealth, there's going to be shared land, there's going to be shared economy, and then we deal with the education and other things.
And guys, when you listen to people like Niehaus and Julius Malema and all of these guys, do you think that the land it is one thing? Like, do you think that the land is important to South Africans, man? Do you think that South Africans care about this whole thing of theirs of land expropriation? Do South Africans really care about land expropriation without compensation? Do South Africans really want land expropriation without compensation to happen? Then what? The land happens, they give people land, then what? Because they always talk about building the factories, making sure that it's manufacturing. With what money? With what money? So this whole thing of land, man, is confusing to me. It's confusing. Because they want the land. So after the land, then what? Right now, the ANC already has enough land. Why is the ANC not giving people land? Why? And these people that are giving the land, who is going to help them with the equipment? Let's say, guys, let's say they give you a farm. Who is going to make sure that you have proper equipment so that your farm can run nicely? The government. Where will the government take the money to buy the resources for thousands and thousands of people who will have the land? Where will the government take the money? So is this policy of land expropriation really important right now in South Africa? Is it important?
Can I ask a quick question for him, if it's allowed? Do you think I would support the monopolization of the economy by white people?
I'm not sure.
Huh?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Why do you speak as if I would support a thing like that?
No.
I would never support anything like that.
I'm not presuming anything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, once you have that kind of a thing.
But I didn't say what you are saying shouldn't happen.
I don't want to live here assuming that you support them.
Exactly.
I want to hear it from
Yeah,
you see, now it's clarified. Prince doesn't support it.
No, but you know why I'm asking you
the problem is sometimes the way you articulate it leads to confusion.
No,
because
you can't deal with
you
the
started off with this
the
discussion about saying the only sector that is functional in this society is the private sector, and we all know that the bulk of the private sector is in the hands of the white capitalist class in this country. Now, the reality is, why is that the case? And why is the state collapsed? Because the state is to a large extent collapsed because of the actions of the white monopoly capitalist class in this country.
The state has collapsed because of the white monopoly capital in South Africa. The state has collapsed. So right now in South Africa, we are where we are because of white monopoly capital. The state didn't collapse because these guys have prioritized their cadres instead of everyone. The state didn't collapse because the ANC doesn't care about qualified people in South Africa. They only care about their own cadres. This is why the DA is dragging them to the courts so that they can release the cadre deployment papers. But according to Niehaus, the state has collapsed because of white monopoly capital.
And that is why Mahasha is in the confusion that he is about what you mean. Now, I'm glad you clarified.
No, he confused himself.
No.
And you are confusing yourself.
Your introduction was very confusing, and that's why I said to you right there. Now,
are we now on my introduction?
Okay, Carl, it's fine. I want to hear from you so that I'm not confused. Do you support what you said earlier?
What?
We asked whether.
No, I asked you.
Hey.
He's confused. Anyway, let me help you. Okay, so let me help you. No. Can I say something? No.
You asked me.
It was actually well. I asked you a question, right? Here is the thing. I am not this color stuff, right? Doesn't bog me down.
Fact.
Way mature to be bogged down by color. I know there are white idiots, white blacks, black idiots, and so on. So I'm above that. So when I say democracies in the most functioning democracies are in the West, right? It's a fact. The fact that in Western Europe the majority are white people doesn't mean that I'm saying I'm supporting the white people of Western Europe. I'm just stating a basic fact. In any case, by the way, those who argue for a socialist economy, and no one has done it here. I've had a lot of black people, by the way, who argue for communism and socialism. And they make such an argument to pretend that socialism is for black people, capitalism is for white people. forgetting that actually the father of socialism and communism is Karl Marx, who was white, himself a Jew. So this idea of wanting to box me with white people or with black people, it's not going to work. The bottom line here is this. No, I didn't say you did.
That's it, guys. In South Africa, we will always look at race. This is what I said in the beginning, that politicians, man, they've made sure that this country, man, people are divided. They've made sure that we cannot discuss anything without bringing the race in. This is exactly what I meant. So, guys, what are your thoughts? Where do you think the country is going? What is the future of South Africa? Can we trust the politicians with the future of this country? Can we trust politicians with the future of our children? What are your thoughts? Please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button. The most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.